Hello everyone and welcome back to GamerPod Mini Episode 2. I am once again joined here with Tex. Hello Tex.
Hey,
Hello.
hey.
Um, Once again, I'm playing Splinter Blacklist in the background, so hopefully I get a bit further in this episode. But first thing that we're going to discuss in today's topic is basically how what I've noticed is there's been quite a surge in mobile games being developed and basically the mobile gaming genre as a whole. What are your opinions on that, Tex?
Well, I feel that mobile games really are growing, and they're not to the point yet where they're a real big threat to the PC or console gaming industries. But the fact of the matter is, they're cheap. They can be immensely lightweight. They're readily accessible. And the stores that you get these from are almost like the Steam platform that allow you to tie in like credit card details and stuff. In fact, I feel that stuff like Play Store, it makes it so much easier to purchase a game from them than it does for Steam in some ways. But the fact that it brings so much content, and just like in apps in general, but still it brings games and apps all together in one place, readily accessible, and you can get some amazing games on these things. I mean, for example, on the iPad, you can get what's it called? GTA 3. Now that's technically an old game. It is it's a revival of the thing, but still, a game that's a 3D world such as that is present and playable on Apple products. And then I've seen other competing similar games that are free roam world and stuff, and full on, and some zombie killing games, all the stuff, and they have some great graphics. I mean, for the resolution on the stuff. But yeah, it could become a real threat to the console and PC gaming industry in the future. Not yet, but it has the potential of becoming that.
I really hope that it doesn't, because
No, I hope not either.
games in general, they just don't work on a touchscreen interface. They just have very limited amount of buttons or functions that you can have on a screen or do at once, and you just cannot compete with a controller or keyboard and mouse. You just can't, because
No.
they're just, for some games it's just literally impossible. Like, try and play a bloody FPS on a touchscreen. I'd like to see you try and get many 360 no scopes and whatnot on that. That's not happening.
And sorry, with stuff like that's a really good point, because I mean, for example, on PC gaming and including consoles, on PC gaming you have all the buttons laid out in front of you and you can do all the stuff. What you have to do then on a touch screen is learn all the gestures and be able to like integrate multiple gestures at the same time, when you can just press your fingers down onto the buttons. You can really only use your thumbs unless you're holding the whole phone with one hand and using one hand as a controller, basically, because otherwise you've only got your thumbs for movement while your fingers support the phone. But with a controller, you're flicking the triggers and the joysticks and everything, and with a mouse, you've got full use of both your hands. So yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't only just apply to mobiles, obviously. There's tablets as well. So some games are better suited for tablets because the extra screen real estate really helps, and then there's some that are better on phones simply because they're very small games that don't really need a huge lot of space to work. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. But one thing I don't like about games is that companies really like to put in a whole bunch of advertisements and microtransactions into them, and that's also an issue with just games in general, just microtransactions and I guess DLC. So that's a great.
But I feel that on
to the next
phone
topic.
games they have like a greater leverage on forcing you to get the in-game content. The like, it's not pay to win, and I'm not going to say it is, but I feel like they hold your game experience for ransom in some ways. They make it like very clear to you that you can't advance past certain areas without a certain tool, or you have to put so much effort into doing it and stuff. I mean, DLC on most video games on computers and consoles are great because you know that you don't necessarily need them. I mean, Slater and I were discussing earlier about how MMORPGs are many are becoming like pay to win. But I mean, with console games and PC games, you don't have to worry about that. It's really up to user choice. But yeah, on phone and tablet games, I feel like they're holding your experience for ransom with the ability to buy the extra fruit bombs and the buy the 50 extra levels and expansion packs and so on.
Yeah, what I've noticed is a lot of games seem to be really skimping out on some of the content that should have been there to begin with, and instead are selling it off as like day one DLCs. So basically what they do is they finish the game, basically cut out about, let's say, 20% of its content, and packaging that 20% content as a separate DLC and selling it to you for a bit more money. So basically,
and they tease you with
basically.
it.
And while yes, you can get away with the game with not buying a single piece of the DLC, it's something that I feel that really the content that they cut out should have been there to begin with. Like, you can tell when some of the DLC should have been in the game to begin with. Watch Dogs is unfortunately one of the examples for this, and I think they did it with the deluxe edition or even the season pass, where what they've done is they've cut out, well, I believe they have cut out some missions and content from the actual game itself and selling it as part of the deluxe edition or the season pass, because some of the bonuses for getting the deluxe edition includes like 15 minutes of additional gameplay, another mission that's like 20 minutes of additional gameplay, and another mission that's another 20 minutes, something like 60 minutes of additional gameplay as well. So basically, all those extra hours of additional content should have probably been in the game to begin with.
Yeah, and if you think about it, I mean, it's all a marketing strategy. It's not like they're trying to be arseholes and withdraw, keeping the content from you. It's a marketing strategy, and they do it to make more money. However, I feel that ethically, I mean, it's not really bad when it comes to ethics, but I feel that you get cheated in a way, because wouldn't you feel much better if you, like, for example, okay, look at The Last of Us. They made the game, got 10 out of 10s from everyone fucking loved the game, and I didn't think anything was going to happen, and then bang, you get this like awesome side story. You get an awesome side story DLC with it, and I don't know why anyone would choose not to buy it, because after what you got from the whole the gaming experience, you felt like you were obligated to buy it, because it was just such a good feeling from the original content. Then additional content could only surpass that and give you more, and it really did. So, I mean, giving the players of the little shizzle. Giving the players the content, all the content that's expected on the arrival of the game in the first place, and then being really ingenious, and about 3, 4, 5 months down the track, you roll out some fantastic DLCs, a new island on a open world sandbox game, an armory where you can buy some exotic crazy weapons, I don't know, something like Saints Row the Third, for example, costumes and stuff to really spice up the gameplay. I mean, when it comes to like costumes, for example, and hats and stuff, I guess they can keep that as straight up DLC and stuff, but keeping core game elements such as weapons and side quests and maps and stuff, they should really come with the game in the first place and then get rolled out as DLC afterwards, when everyone's just like becoming vampires and hoping for the next kill of content.
Pretty
really
much. And see, my definition of a DLC is basically DLC should include content that is actually adding to the game, not content that should have been there in the game to begin with. So as you pointed out with The Last of Us, they definitely had basically everything in the original game, and then that additional content, it didn't change any of the core gameplay at all. It's just more of a side thing. It's not meant to be part of the whole core game, I guess, because it's a side story, as you said. So it didn't affect how you played the main game or anything. It was just a little bit of an extra, I guess you could call like a side campaign in a way. So it's nothing hugely that affected the actual main storyline. I think it just gave you like a bit of background on some of the characters in the game.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And that's something that was a very good move because people love that. I mean, one thing that I want in games is when you get so attached to the characters, you want to find out about them. And I think Naughty Dog Studios thought about this way before they released the thing. I mean, you find out that Joel's daughter got shot or he got shot at and his daughter died. And yes, good point. But still, and I won't go from there. But you get this full-on backstory about him, and you find out about the characters and how they try to escape and all that kind of stuff. But you didn't find about Ellie, if that's her name still. I think it's Ellie. Yes, it's Ellie. You didn't find out about her, and then to imagine like the frenzy people would have went through to purchase it when they found out here's Ellie's DLC. Find out what happened in her final hours, that kind of stuff. And no, that's giving the wrong idea of the thing. No, what happened, basically, that kind of stuff.
But yeah, DLC should be done in a way that it doesn't actually affect the core game.
Yeah, impair its experience.
Well, it doesn't like give you. It shouldn't be something like a pay to win kind of thing. It shouldn't be something that adds to the game where it like gives you a slightly better advantage than if you just bought the core game. There's also it shouldn't it shouldn't really add content that gives you the feeling that this sort of content should have been in the game to begin with. Like, if it's adding, if the first DLC is already adding an extra bloody 2 hours or something of content in, it makes you wonder how much of that 2 hours really was from the actual core game to begin with.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, if they roll it out so soon, then you've obviously been stiffed from it. I mean, I don't know. Back to The Last of Us again. They rolled it out 2, 3, 4 months after release, so they either kept it from their players, which was a smart move, or they'd been developing it afterwards, which means they got a ongoing commitment to their players and fans of the game, that they're willing to spend more time, obviously for a monetary reward, but they're willing to spend and invest more time as a gamble in producing DLC, and that's what should be done. You shouldn't have the content choked away from you because they want to just make more money off you, such as Payday 2, cough cough. But still, I mean, fucking grenades, come on. Grenades, not in the release. Okay, this is a chat, this is a discussion, not a rant. But still, fuck you, Overkill. Why didn't I get grenades in the original game? But anyway.
Anyways, I just think in general, there shouldn't ever be a day one DLC, ever.
No.
Because it really sends kind of like a bad message to me anyway. Because
it makes you reevaluate your purchase. Was it worth it?
Yeah, it also makes me wonder just how much of that day one DLC was originally in that game. They probably just stripped it out and just sold it as a separate package. So there's that. If you're really going to release DLC, it should be at least a few months after the original release, because
revive the product that they released.
I mean, if you're releasing day one DLC, then perhaps the original game itself, maybe that wasn't good enough. Maybe that's why
you're proudly stiffing your customers.
That's why you're releasing a day one DLC already. I don't know. But anyways, that kind of then, I guess, brings us on to why there aren't really any game demos in this day and age. Back in like the early 2000s or something, I don't know. Game demos used to be pretty common, I'd say. They used to come in CDs from like PC magazines or whatever. It lets you try out a few games. they should usually conclude like maybe a level, something you can try out, get a feel for the game, and then make your own judgment based on that. There are a few caveats to that. Is that the developers probably selected or cherry picked a specific stage in the game or something to show off the game.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just choosing the best bits, not necessarily the parts that really don't show off the game well. Which, I mean, to be fair, that is what you want to do. You want to show off the best parts of your game. But yeah, even then, after trying out a demo, you should, I guess, take it with a pinch of salt. But yeah, it's just kind of sad that you don't get many game demos these days. It makes me wonder why. The first reason that I can think of would be because games are getting so big now. A simple game demo might be like, I don't know, 5 gigs at least.
Yep. And then also the and then it makes you wonder what could be stopping them. I mean, they shouldn't be fearful of people getting too much experience from it and then being able to decide if it's what they want or not, because I mean, a game trailer does that enough. One thing in a game trailer could ruin the whole experience for the person. They might not buy your product. So taking the care for the customer to show that you're willing to release a part of your product, like a sample, for them to evaluate if they what they want, is what I believe a very good business move. But yeah, as you said, the size of games are getting so bloody huge. I mean, Payday 2 itself, it's a very unoptimized game. It runs fine in most cases, but the fact of the matter is it does so by sacrificing so much disk space in like 30, 35, 40 gigs, and it's nothing, no COD or Watch Dogs kind of thing. I'm not knocking the product, but it's nothing too special when it comes to graphical aesthetics. But, I mean, then if it takes that much space for the whole game, imagine trying to put a single stage onto a disc with other competing demos that are trying to get the space as well.
Yeah, pretty much. And just with demos as a whole, it's just like, since there aren't any, it does make a few people very skeptical when buying games. They really want to know whether this game is worth buying or not. So you're basically
piracy.
Well, you're basically being forced to basically either wait for legitimate reviews, wait for let's plays to. Well, what I do is like I like to wait for people to let's play the games that I want to buy.
Yeah.
So that I can just see the actual game content without any of sort of like smudging of the levels or anything, so that I know what I'm seeing is the actual game, not some touched up image or content by the company themselves.
And that's War Z in itself. All the pictures that they used were had content stolen from not stolen, but assimilated it from other games to show off their thing and misleading their customers, for example. So yeah, like renders. Renders are a good thing. I mean, Dead Island used renders. War Z used rendered example screenshot images and stuff. So it's misleading. Unless you can play it yourself, unless you can eat the food, go to the business and get the service, or play the game, then you're being misled in a way if they're not offering sample services.
Yeah, and as Tex whispered, it has caused a few people to resort to pirating just to demo the game, because they can't afford to spend money on a game that they may not even like at all.
That's me and all the Dead Islands. But mind you, I've purchased them now because I like them enough.
Yeah, see, if you do give people demos, if they like it, then they'll buy it. I mean, it doesn't hurt too much, I hope.
Like, is piracy now the new trendy word for demos?
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up today. Thanks everyone for watching. Please like, favorite, and subscribe. Share this with your friends, and we'll see you again in the next episode.
See you.
If you want to be bloody meet your friends virtually, you might as well just go out and bloody meet them.
Exactly.
I think the main problem was that I was drinking vodka and lemonade, and I spilled vodka and lemonade on my computer.
Okay, so that was the main problem, but the